Hey everybody, Sean here from VidGamiac.com, and welcome back to another episode of VidGamiac vs. Imports, back in Deathmark, covering chapter number 1 today. So let's get started.
Hanahiko-kun.
So after a few black and white flashback-esque sections, you are going to find yourself back in the mansion. The characters are going to ask you a bunch of choices. You can make whatever choices you want for the first part. Just keep mashing that A button and then fast forwarding in between. So characters are going to tell you some stuff. I'm pretty sure it's all exposition. You can assume that. But anyways, you are going to eventually gain control of your character in this menu that looks very similar to the mansion from Resident Evil 1. Alright, once you get to the mansion menu, this is the way it's going to work. Whenever you get to one of these, I highly recommend saving, so make sure you hit X, and then that will bring up the save slots. Make sure you save in slot 1. We will be referring to these saves in later playthroughs in order to save ourselves a bunch of time, so keep that in mind. Once you're done with that, you are supposed to select a partner, so click partner, and then for this chapter, you want to make sure you pick the girl. So pick partner number 2, the girl with the binoculars. Once you have picked your partner for the first time, you should get an achievement actually for 15 points. That's just for picking your partner for the first time. So once you get that out of the way, head over to exit, and this should bring you to the garage. Whenever you are here, you are given a couple of locations to choose. In this case, you have 2 locations. Pick location number 2, which is where we are headed off for the first assignment. This is going to take us to a school. So then you are on the road, and then once you get to the school, you are going to get to the next bit of gameplay. Alright, once you get to the school, you should meet the security guard. Pick whatever you want when he confronts you, and then once he walks away, you are introduced to your first on-foot segment. So during these parts, the game is going to turn into more of a point-and-click style. So you have a little map in the upper left corner, and that is how navigation is going to work. So for this, instead of hitting up to go up, hitting up means going forward. So keep that in mind whenever you're orienting yourself on the map. It's kind of like tank controls in a way. So first off, you want to hit up to go forward, and that should take you into the school. Once you get into this first room, you need to turn right, so hit right, and then you should be in the second room. You get a little bit of a talking bit with this spooky rabbit that has some significance, but skip through all that, and then you have to go forward twice, so up, which will take you right twice on the map. However, since you're facing right, you are actually going forward. So keep that in mind. Up means forward, down means back, and then left and right is turning. So after you wrap up your first navigation bit, you are introduced to the first pointing and clicking part of the game. You're going to be in the stairwell between the first and second floor. Your left stick is going to control the mouse cursor, which is going to take the form of your flashlight. Hitting the A button is going to examine an object, and hitting the X button is going to search it. So what you want to do is you want to examine the mirror first by hitting A while clicking it, and then you want to hit the X button to search it. That's going to cause a ghost to appear in the reflection, and it's going to trigger the first battle of the chapter. It's going to be a deadly choice. If you remember from the prologue, you have a time limit to do these, and you want to do these as quick as possible because basically that number is going to represent your health, and you want as much health as you can going forward. So this one is pretty simple. It's only 2 choices, so make sure you hit choice 2 as quickly as possible, and you should be good for this first battle. After you finish it up, you should get control of your character, and then you have another navigation bit. Alright, after your backtracking session and one jump scare later, you should gain control of your character. Make sure you hit up to move forward, and then you're going to be in this stairwell. You want to use your search command and search this door right here. You should pick up your first soul talisman. These are going to be the health power-ups in the game. They should heal you quite a bit. You also get an achievement for picking your first one up. There it is, 15 gamer score. I will point out one whenever one is in the area, so you can make sure you heal up whenever necessary. Alright, after following the instructions that I have laid out for you, you are going to end up in this classroom. What you want to do is you want to examine this thing off to the left. I believe it's one of the ceiling panels that has fallen down. Inside should be another soul talisman, so that should heal you up quite a bit. After examining that, we are going to navigate our way over to the room on the right, which should take us to a storage room. And this is where the pointing and clicking part of the game happens. We are going to look for a bunch of items, which may or may not play a role later on, especially with boss fights or something like that. I won't spoil it right now. So first thing you want to do is you want to look inside the cardboard box. This should give you 3 items, which if you can't read Japanese is going to be a stick of lipstick, a pen, and some slippers. After you get your items, what you want to do is you want to interact with the cupboard door on the bottom right of the cabinet to the left. You will notice that the lock is jammed, and what you have to do is you have to use one of your items in order to unjam the lock. So basically what you want to do is you want to move the flashlight over, you want to hit the Y button, which should bring out your inventory. Now, it is in this inventory menu where the game is going to give you the biggest troubles in terms of the language barrier. I will leave translations for necessary items in the bottom margin of the video, but the item you want to use here is going to be that pen that you grabbed in the cardboard box. Items won't be organized in the order you pick them up, so I can't give you a specific number to use. You're just going to have to try to translate the Japanese into English. But once again, I'll provide the translations for you. Just try your best not to get too lost. After you grab what's in that cupboard, what you want to do is you want to interact with the trap door. You'll realize it's locked. You have to use another item here. You want to use your knife, which should be this set of Japanese characters. That should open it up and take you to the next area. Alright, after fast forwarding through all the spooks, you should gain control of your character. You want to search the skeleton on the far right. This should give you a hand mirror. Then what you want to do is you want to search the mattress on the bed in the background right here. It should be towards the center of the screen, and searching this should give you, I believe, a piece of vinyl. So once you have all of those, some more cutscene stuff's going to happen. Once again, left bumper to fast forward is your best friend in this situation for saving time. During this next cutscene, you are introduced to your newest party member, generic Japanese detective man, and then after that, you are going to make your grand escape outside of the school, and then all the way back to the mansion. So to get through this, just hold left bumper until you get back to that mansion menu from before. Back at the mansion menu, it is here I highly recommend making a save. Feel free to overwrite that save we made earlier. We won't be needing it anymore, so just use this save. After saving, it is time to pick your next partner. Go into partner, and then you want to pick generic Japanese detective man. He should be selection number 2. Then what you want to do is you want to head over to exit to hit up the garage, and for our location, you want to pick the same location as earlier, the second one or the rightmost option, which should take us back to the school. Once you get to the school, forward to head on inside. Once you are in the kind of lobby area, you want to go left, and that should take you to the next part of the hallway. Once you are here, you are going to get some talking. Make sure you fast forward through that. Interact with the thing of roses on the right next to the window. This should give you a key, which is very useful since you need it to open doors. Then you want to keep following my instructions, so forward and then left to head into a classroom. Once inside, you're going to look on the desk to the right. In here is going to be a plastic water bottle that you need, so make sure you grab that. Very important for the next parts of the story. You can also examine this crack in the wall. There's something stuck inside, so what you can do is you can open up your inventory, use the pen that we got from our first trip to the school, and inside will be another talisman, which is going to give us some extra health. So make sure you do that. Now, back to following the instructions that I've laid out. You want to hit down to go back twice. This should put you back in that first part of the hallway. Now that we have the key from the thing of roses, you can use it to open up this locked door right here. So make sure you do that. That should get the door open, and in here is going to be some more items we need. First up, you want to ignore that jump scare. Then you want to look on the desk to your right. In here is going to be an umbrella frame, which is like the handle and like the spokes that hold the umbrella together. So make sure you grab that. Once again, very important item. Then what you want to do is you want to look underneath the blackboard. So right here. And right here is going to be yet another talisman, which will give us another healthy health boost. So grab that. Right next to the blackboard is going to be a bulletin board with some safety pamphlets up on it. You want to examine and then search them. Once you pick up a pamphlet, it's going to give you a choice. Always pick the topmost choice for these. There's going to be a total of 2 pamphlets, and every time you pick one up, you make a choice. Japanese detective man is going to give you a lecture on something, and then just fast forward through all the talking bits because they're kind of non-consequential. Just get to picking both of them up. Once you're done with the pamphlets and all the talking bits, you want to interact with the fish tank in the middle of the room. You want to open up your inventory and use the plastic bottle. This should fill it up and then turn it into the water bottle, which of course we will be using later on. Leave the room by hitting down, and then you want to hit up to go forward. You should now be in the stairwell leading down to the basement. So what you want to do is you want to look to your right. This should be a fire alarm. You want to interact with it, and inside is going to be yet another talisman, which should give us a nice health boost. Once you're ready, you are going to hit up twice to venture into the darkness. We are going to be back in the hallway, and then hit up one more time. You should be in this part of the hallway. Click on the door to your right to get ready for a fight. It's going to be a deadly choice fight, so make sure your choice picking is on par. So just get ready to make them choices. So this one is going to be another 2-choice affair. My answers are on the screen, and make sure you punch them in as quickly as possible so we can mitigate any health loss and then move on to the next part. Alright, once you wake up from the fight and the barrage of cutscenes, you're going to be in this classroom. You want to examine the pamphlets. Every time you examine a pamphlet, you are going to be given a choice. Always pick choice 1. It's pretty much a confirmed, do you want to pick up this pamphlet, yes or no? And the top choice is usually yes in most video games, so make sure you do so. Once you got your pamphlets in order, what you want to do next is you want to examine this white powder next to this overturned chair. This is going to be a pile of salt. What you want to do is you want to use the water bottle that we made earlier by combining the plastic bottle with the fish tank water, and this mixing with the salt is going to give us salt water. So make sure you do that. Open up your inventory, Y button, make sure you find the water bottle, which once again match up the appropriate Japanese characters, translations on the bottom margin in case you get lost, and that will give us the bottle of salt water. Once we have that ready, we are going to get a ton of cutscenes, fast forward through all this stuff, and then we are going to get to the next part of the game. One achievement later, you are going to be back in the classroom. Hit down, and that should take you back to the hallway. A lot of cutscene stuff's going to happen. That scary bunny is going to pop up. You are going to get a choice. Make sure you make that choice. It's going to be the first one, by the way. You are going to be given the first boss fight. So make sure you get ready for that. And of course, I will explain how boss fights work. So just make sure you prepare yourself for the worst. Alright, it's boss time. So this is the way the boss fights are going to work. You are given a list of all of your inventory items, and what you have to do is you have to combine 2 items per round in order to do damage to the boss. So it's always going to be certain items, and I will have the items listed at the bottom margin of the guide. Keep in mind, of course, just like using your inventory like normal, the text is in Japanese, so if you need a translation guide, the translation is also available to you at the bottom. So just match up those Japanese characters with the Japanese characters in the game. Of course, this does require you to have picked up every item, so make sure you follow the walkthrough when it's going on, and you should have all the items you need for the boss fight. So the fight is going to be split up into rounds. Basically, you pick your 2 items in the checkbox on the left. The game is going to give you a menu to confirm yes or no. Obviously, you want to pick the first choice, which is yes, and that should use the 2 items in a way that damages the boss. If you win all of the rounds, the boss should go down, and you should be closer to finishing up the level. So it's going to be like this for the entirety of the game, and we are going to have a myriad of boss fights along the way with ghosts and monsters and zombies and the like. And all you have to do is just take them out using our handy-dandy item crafting, and that is pretty much the boss fight system. It's pretty simple as long as you know what items to use and in what order. So just follow along with the stuff that I have listed at the bottom of the screen, and you should be more than fine. And finally, after wrapping up the boss fight, we should be done at the school. There is our Chapter 1 achievement, 30 gamer score for this one, and then we have to drive back to the mansion and wrap things up before moving on to the next chapter. So you are given a few choices right here. You're going to make your first choice. You can pick whatever you want. And then after that, we are going to make a save. Make sure you move to a different save slot this time. Very important that you move to save slot number 2 because we will be referring to save slot number 1 when we are done with the game and have to go back and get all of the alternate scenes, which has an achievement or 2 based after it. So make sure you get through all of this nonsense, and then once you have control of your character again after making that save, we are going to go talk to the marionette lady and then wrap up the chapter. So just go to the talk part of the menu and then just pick the first choice and she should wrap it up for you. That's going to be it for chapter 1. Don't forget to check back soon next time for more, and that's all there is to it.